Talk about it Tuesday, guys. I think my favorite day of the week. I love it. Cheese. It's raining tacos. Oh my goodness. I think the best thing about Tuesday is the taco song. Tell me you love it as much as I do. I love it, guys. Oh my goodness. I absolutely adore the taco song. So, if you guys saw the post I made, we're going to have a little bit more of a serious talk on Talk About It Tuesday today, because nobody ever posts any questions. We just listen to Dori talk about whatever she wants to, which I love you for. I love you guys. So I decided, you know what, let's talk about something a little bit more serious this week, because, okay, so something you guys don't know about me is that I spent the majority of my life as a doormat. People walked all over me, and they treated me how they wanted to, and they talked to me how I allowed them to, because let's be honest, people do what they get away with, and they will do what they can. And my mother used to always say to me, you know, Dorylyn, people cannot walk all over you if you don't lay down for them. Like, they can't do that. You have to first be willing to accept that treatment and that behavior before people can treat you that way. And I was like, no, but you don't know, though. People are just mean to me, Mom. You know, I do all the things, and, you know, I'm really nice to them, but they're just really mean to me back. And she would tell me again, they can walk all over you if you don't lay down and allow them to. And it never made any sense to me. It didn't really click for me, because if people wanted to be nice to me, they would be nicer to me, right? I was really very nice to them. And I guess in my old life, I wasn't as nice as I think I used to could have been. Just saying, carb. Carb girls. Carb girls are kind of mean girls, just saying. Like, when they say mean girls, I think those are girls who, like, circle up and eat popcorn together. Like, just saying, because, whoa. So, I kind of want to start by the way that people talk to you. And I don't want this to be a poor Dori thing, but I want to kind of give you guys some examples, because when I talk to people about the way that people used to talk to me, they're like, oh dear God, Dori, who even does that? Like, who says those kinds of things to people? But they do. If you, I don't know how to say it any other way other than if you make it known that people can talk to you and treat you how they want to, they will. And I sought out people like that, right? And not just in my relationships. I sought out men like that. I had friends like that. I found working relationships where I was also treated that same way, because I guess it would just be flat out because I didn't set a boundary against it. I kind of was like, oh, wishy-washy Dori. If, you know, somebody says that to me, you know, maybe it hurts my feelings, but don't ever say to them, you can't talk to me like that. What is that? That's craziness. Now you're just talking crazy. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that's all that setting a boundary is. Period. That's it. It's making a decision in your mind. I am not willing to accept this kind of treatment, this kind of behavior, this kind of language, this kind of speech. And when you make that decision for yourself, guess what? It becomes really easy to say to somebody, oh, I'm sorry, you can't talk to me like that. Oh, I know I used to. I totally used to let you talk to me like that. But I've decided for myself, I'm not going to allow people to speak to me disrespectfully anymore. No offense. Sorry, I really love your feedback, and I love it when you have things to say about my life. But until you are able to bring it to me in a positive fashion, I'm just not willing to listen to your feedback. And that goes all the way across the board, guys. Like, if you are dating a guy and he says, oh, wow, like, you really look kind of fat in those pants, because guys say that, trust me, they do. That's when you look at him and say, oh, I don't recall asking for your opinion about how how I look in these pants. But you know what? If I need your opinion, I'll ask you, and I'll ask you to give it to me in a nice way, because I don't like it when you talk to me like that. I know it sounds silly, but try it one time. Try it one time. I swear to you, try it one time. You know, when your friends aren't really your friends, and they say really passive aggressive things to you, like, oh, let me think of an example. When I decided to have my weight loss surgery, a lot of my friends didn't think it was a good idea. They I don't know, on the outside they feared for my health, which I understand. I get that. I think on the inside, they didn't really want for me to be happy, because I was so sick and I was so unhealthy. I can't imagine that anybody wouldn't be behind that, right? But they were my fat friends. We were exactly the same amount of fat. We were exactly the same amount of miserable. We all weighed about the same, wore about the same size of clothes, dated the same kind of losers, had the same everyday stress in our lives, and we spent every day playing, oh, if you think that's bad, wait till you hear what happened to me today. Oh man, girl, wait until you hear. And we spent our days just commiserating and being miserable and reveling in that. Like, I woke up first thing in the morning to, you know, one or the other of my girlfriends calling me, yelling and screaming, oh, my kid didn't listen, and I can't this, and I can't that, and, you know, why won't anything go right, and, you know, I just want to freaking go to work, and I would open my eyes to screaming, like, every day. Like, somebody was having a bird, somebody was calling up, freaking out. There was never any space in my life for positivity. The little pieces that came down to me like sparkling sunshine got absorbed into the negative cloud that was us. Like, it was us. I can't even say it was me or it was her or it was them. It was an us. Like, together we were ugly. Like, we were not good for each other. We were not encouraging each other to be happy or healthy or anything. We were miserable together. So when I started to be less miserable, then it got really interesting with my friends. My friends who said things like, you know, why would you risk your life with surgery? Because, you know, it's just being fat, Dori. I don't understand why you have to be so shallow about it. It's just being fat. But it wasn't just being fat. I was in so much pain every day. Like, and we all were. Like, it wasn't just me. We were all that big. I was 290, she was 290, our other friend was 290. We were all big old mommies. But to wake up every day in so much pain that you cannot stand up. That's what I woke up to every day. You get up and your legs don't quite work. You get the pins and the needles and you can't stand on them. And in pure humiliation, you walk your way along the wall to get to the bathroom, where you sit for 20 minutes because that's about how long it takes for your legs to work. And that was the start of a day. And then a day would just continue on with painkillers and muscle relaxants and, I would say, an assortment from anywhere from 6 to 24 pills a day just to get through the day. So is it any shock that I was miserable? No, not really. No, not really. And when I stopped being that girl for all of my friends, then they started to really retaliate, because this was our life, right? Like this was like a marriage. This is a commitment that you make to your friends. These are, they're closer to you than your family, right? She was my best friend for 13 years until she decided that me making a choice for my health didn't fit into our friendship anymore, right? I didn't have as much time for her negativity. I didn't feel so sick and miserable. It wasn't so easy to commiserate with me. So then it changed, and I would get things like, oh, that's really good for you, Dori. You're doing really good. You've lost lots of weight. But you know what? You didn't really do it. You had surgery. So I can't really pat you on the back for that. I mean, it's not like you actually did anything. You just, you took the easy way, right? Because she didn't know and didn't understand and wasn't there with me when I had my surgery. One day we'll talk about that in a different day, because it's a cry story too, and I wasn't going to cry like a big fat baby today. Okay, so I probably was. If we're going to talk about boundaries, I probably was, let's be honest. So I'm going to take a second to see comments and get myself together, because this is why I don't do this stuff by myself. I love you too, Chantel. I love you. Oh, Crystal says she must be a doormat too for the last 45 years. And Misty says they just need sparkly coffee. That's right. Mean girls just need sparkly coffee. That makes everything better. And yes, May says that learning to hide behind a smile when around my family, and it's okay to not be what everyone expects. It's been a long process, and it's always moving. It always helps. So now during family functions, she doesn't hide anymore. And that's how life feels, right? Like that's how it feels when you stop letting other people tell you what you should do, what you should wear, where you should go, how you should live your life. I can't say I set boundaries for any of those things, right? Like when I was a kid, my parents made my decisions, and then in high school, I got my first serious boyfriend, and then he made my decisions for me. Oh boy, he made some good decisions. I just want to put that out there and say, and then it was a sea of, from the next boyfriend to the next friend to the next, basically whoever wanted to be the boss of my life, I let them. Does that sound stupid? I don't know. I just let them. And, if I had a bossy friend and she wanted things her way, I would middle of the road. I would go along. I wouldn't complain. I would do, and I would do their way, and I would go out of my way. And when I stopped doing that, then something kind of, so it's sort of a 3-phase thing. So I'm going to say first thing is realizing that you don't have any boundaries and that everybody walks all over you. That's the first thing. Because to start with, you have to realize it's a problem. Because I spent a lot of my life saying, oh, well, I'm not a doormat. I'm easygoing. I'm easygoing. I'm easy to get along with. Come on. I'm agreeable. I'm agreeable. I'm easy to get along with. I make it easy for people to be around me. But the reality is I wasn't being easy to be around. I was being easy to walk on. And there's a difference, right? When you have no backbone and everybody in a 5-mile radius can walk all over you, guess what they can sense? Like, I swear to God, even strangers can smell that on you. Like, I've had strangers say horrible, hideous things to me. Like, I don't even know why a stranger would say a horrible thing to somebody, but I know that they do. So I know that even strangers can sense when you don't have a boundary. I remember, here's a good stranger example. Let me move because my feet are falling asleep. I was about 20 years old, and I was a little chubby then. I was always kind of a little bit of a chubby girl. I didn't get really big till after I had my son, but I was always a little bit chubby. So I'd say I was probably rolling around 200, 220, 220. I was rolling, I was smoking, you don't know. I was a hot fat girl, just saying. And I'm standing in line at my local gas station. Sorry, guys. I'm standing at my 7-Eleven, and I'm buying myself a Diet Pepsi and a chocolate bar. Now, not because I think Diet Pepsi is diet, but because I liked Diet Pepsi before. I just liked Diet Pop. And the guy standing in line behind me was, I was going to say, about 30. In his mid-30s, so, you know, quite a bit older than me and definitely knew better. And as I was coming up to the till, he looked at me and he said, "Do you really think that Diet Pop is going to help you with the chocolate bar you're buying?" And I just looked at him like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I am a stranger to you. Why are you even talking to me? But he didn't think there was any big deal to just, you know, walk right up to me and tell me that, you know, just so I know, you know, I'm probably not gonna see any benefit from the Diet Pop, right? And I mean, that goes across the board too. I can't tell you how many times a guy actually had the balls to say to my face, "You know what, Dori, I really like you. You're so pretty. I love your personality. I like everything about you. But you know what? You're just too big a girl for me to date. You know, my friends would make fun of me, and, you know, I can't really have my friends make fun of me for having a fat girlfriend. So, you know, you're really awesome, and we could totally hang out, but, you know, we won't actually date." Oh God, I told this story the other day too. This one's a funny one. And I'm hoping there are no kids watching. No kids watching. Okay, no kids watching. We're okay. If you have any children, get them out of the room. Just like earmuffs, kids. Earmuffs. So I was seeing a guy. My son was probably about 3 at the time. So I would have been about 25. So I was 25. And again, this is no boundaries, Dori. Like, bear in mind, I'm going to say, I won't lie to you guys, I only just developed those in this last year. Like, in this last year, I learned how to stop making people talk to me like I am garbage. And it's awesome. Just saying. We're going to talk about how to get there too, because it's beautiful, guys. Like, if people talk to you like you're trash now, I'm going to tell you, the trash will take itself out when you stop putting up with it. So, I'm 25. I'm seeing this guy. Okay, we weren't officially dating, mostly because he was a jerk. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Oh my God, he was terrible. You couldn't take him out in public anywhere. He was a bit of an alcoholic too, I think. He almost once got us kicked out of a bowling alley because he got drunk and he was bothering people. But anyways, I digress. So we just finished an awesome moment, and when I say moment, you ladies are gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. And we're curled up on the couch together, and in that moment of afterglow, he looks at me deep in the eyes, and in this very loving way, he looks at me and he says, "You know, Dori, if you could lose a little weight, you know, we could totally be more than we are right now. Like, we could legitimately date, like, you know, be boyfriend, girlfriend. And, you know, I'm not like pushy or anything. I could give you like 6 months to lose weight." And oh girl, I told him off so bad. It was ugly. It was not pretty at my house that day. Dori had a big fat girl fit. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I was like, "Really, dude? Really? In the afterglow? In the afterglow with like the loving look and everything, you're going to tell me I'm fat? Thank you. Thank you. You're awesome. I wouldn't date you, by the way, because you suck. Just saying. Oh my goodness. May says on Instagram she's heard that, oh, May, she'd be so pretty if she lost weight. Ugh. Why don't you just keep it to yourself? And yes, keep that to yourself. I think I was 10 years old the first time someone said to me, oh, Dori, you have such a pretty face. If you could just lose weight, you'd be stunning. You'd be stunning. Do you know how many guys said that to me over my lifetime? Oh, Dori, if you could just lose weight, you'd be so hot. And you know what? Now that I have lost weight, as soon as a guy says to me, wow, you're hot, I think I immediately hate him. Is that terrible? I know that's like, they mean it to be a compliment, and they're like, oh my God, you're so pretty. Oh, I just know that you're amazing, and I would be in love with you because I can tell by how you look. And I'm immediately pissed off. Like, I'm like, dude, I don't even like you. Now I really don't like you, because you know what? You were the same D-bag telling me I was too big when I was 290 pounds, and I'm the same person. So you know what? It's all well and good that you think I'm hot now. I still don't like you. I still don't like you. I still don't like you. So I'm glad you think I'm hot now. And it offends me, guys. Like, it really offends me. And I think, especially when guys do it on the internet, and they message you and they're like, oh, I can tell you're such a nice person because you're so pretty, and I love everything about you, and I would love to date you. And I'm like, you don't know anything about me. And as soon as you point out to them that A, they don't know anything about you, B, they're a stranger to you, and C, you don't really need creepy male internet friends, all of a sudden you are not that nice anymore. Because I'm going to tell you what, that escalates quickly. Oh my God. Does it escalate quickly? I had a guy send me a message, and I'm not trying to be rude here, but he was probably about 60, probably about a good 100 pounds overweight, and his description was about how he knew that I was such a good person just based on my exterior, and how he knew that I was a good match for him, and I would give him, this great and wonderful chance, even though, I'm engaged to be married, because, engaged is not married, and really, I might still be looking for some 60-year-old man on the internet to tell me that I'm pretty, because nobody's, oh dear God, ever said that I was pretty in my whole life, right? So I said to him, you know what, dude, I'm not looking for any, male internet friends. Just saying, like, I'm not looking for any. I don't need any male internet friends. And he comes back with, well, we could be friends outside of here as well. And I was like, okay, and that would be of interest to me because ... And then I said this, which maybe wasn't that nice, but I said this. And that would be of interest to me because ... I'm not single or looking, but if I were, I have a number of men that I could choose from. And I certainly would choose someone I find attractive and not a stranger on the internet. Which, you know what, I kind of thought was nice. Like, I mean, it's sort of Dori bitchy. Let's be honest. It was Dori bitchy. That's about as bitchy as I get. It was Dori bitchy. And you want to know what I got back? I got back, wow, you're a bitch. I hate it when people talk rudey. Not rudely, because that would be actual proper English. Wow, you're a bitch. I hate it when people talk rudey. And I was like, wow, dude, because I didn't ask you. Like, I really didn't be like, hey, come tell me how, you're my miracle dream. And that too stopped. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this was the thing. When I first started my Instagram, I'm going to say I got at least 4 to 6 of those messages every single day, like within the first 2 months of Instagram. And I don't know, somehow I have put out to the universe that I am no longer accepting, creepy guys to follow me on the internet, because they seem to have stopped doing that. Hallelujah, knock on wood, don't curse yourself, Dori. Like, oh, dear God. Oh, because you know what? There's creepy and then there's like really creepy. So you know what, dude? If you're being creepy, I'm going to put it out there and say, don't do that. And usually I will message them, back and just say, hey, you know what? I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but you're being creepy. Girls don't like that. They usually don't respond well to that either, just saying. But then they know. Because you know what? Maybe they just don't know. Dear God, they've got to know. But maybe they don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to scroll for any questions, comments, and then we're going to get back to how I learned about boundaries and how I started setting them. Because that is what changed my life. When I decided that this was something I actually had to do, and guess what? I figured out how to do it. And it's not that hard. You guys can do it too. I promise. I promise if today you are living without boundaries, tomorrow can be the day that you stop doing that. Because nobody needs to be a doormat. We deserve so much better than that. And you know what? People will treat us better when we demand that they do. And I know that sounds kind of snobby, but it really is. Because you can ask somebody to treat you really nice all day long. Oh, honey, I'd really like it if you said nicer things to me. It really makes me happy when you say nice things to me. Or you can say, you know what? Don't talk to me till you can be nice. I love you, and I'm probably still going to let you sleep in bed tonight. But I'm going to tell you, until you start talking to me nicer, I'm shutting my ears off, dude. I don't listen to you. I ain't got no room for that. No room for that. Janet says she has been so stressed out this last 2 weeks, she could just cry herself. And that's hard. Like, when we're going through a period of stress and things are changing and not everything is under our control, right? Like, some things we have power over, some things we don't have power over. We don't have power over how people treat us. We have power over how we react to it. So, for example, if you have a lady at your office and every day you come in and she says something, snippy and rude to you, and you just take it and you walk away, you've walked away. Now, you have three choices at that point. You can either ignore her comment because it wasn't true and she just was being bitter. You can take that comment and you can replay it in your head 50,000 times so that it becomes 1,000,000 times worse than anything she ever said. Or you can walk right up to her and say, you know what, Cindy, I'm not going to take that from you today. You know what, I understand in our previous relationship, we've kind of had this sort of banter, but I don't think your jokes are funny. And I'm going to ask you to stop making them, because until you do, I think we're not going to hang out. Your jokes aren't funny. Sorry. And you know what? Here's the thing. Once you start to do that, and you set that boundary and you say in that relationship or in that friendship or in that working relationship, this is no longer working for me, I will not allow you to treat me that way, then one of two things happens. Either they will pay attention to what you've said and they will take heed and they will treat you better, or they will very, very quickly find their way out of your life, because it's easier to just avoid you than to treat you properly. So 1 second, I'm gonna blow my nose again. So attractive, I know. This is what happens when Dori gets all emotional. And I should have brought Kleenex. Paper towel's not the best to blow your nose. Just saying. Paper towel's not the best. But honestly, it really is. It's as simple as doing it one day, every day. And you know what? Some people will need more reinforcement than others. I find kids pick up on that one really quick. You know what? If you have issues with your kids and they don't respect you and they don't listen to you, the minute that you put your foot down and say, you know what, mommy doesn't listen to that, when you want to come to talk to me with your nice boy words, you come back and talk to me and we will sit down and we'll talk about it. But in every aspect of our life, we need to make a boundary. You need to decide what is acceptable for me. How much am I willing to take? And then you know what? You can't blame people for overstepping that if you don't tell them, right? it's just as much our job to let people know what our boundaries are as it is their job to respect that boundary once we've placed it. So, step one is realize that you need a boundary, that you're not just being easygoing and flexible, that you are actually letting people take advantage of you in your life, because it's a fine line. You might just be really easygoing. You might be. I was not. I was not. But you might be. You might just be easygoing. And I think that a way to gauge that is how you feel on a regular daily basis. You know what? Do you have an off day where, the odd person will say something to you and it twinges with you and you think that wasn't very nice? Why would you say that out loud to a people? Or is it all of the time? In every waking conversation that you have, are you constantly being surrounded by people who are talking down to you, looking down on you, belittling you, giving you backhanded comments like, oh, those jeans look really nice on you now that you finally lost that 20 pounds you were carrying around for a year, right? I had friends who said things like that. Do we? Hands up. If we have friends, family members, co-workers, people that we've been in relationships with that will say things like that. Oh, wow, those jeans look great on you now that you finally lost that 20 pounds. I was wondering when that was going to ever happen. Gee, I wonder how long you're going to keep it off this time. That one was my favorite. That one was my favorite. I loved it when people told me that there was no point in having surgery because I was going to gain back all my weight, because really it's not like I was ever going to, get healthy. So, I was wasting my time and my money and, all of that. Vicky says, I had to set a boundary with my sister a couple weeks ago. She tells me what I need to do, how to talk to my mom, and how to live my life, what to do with my money, etc. I blew up and let it all out and set my boundaries. She didn't know what to do with that. So just do it. Just stand up for yourself. And girl, you are a million percent wrong. Right. You are 1,000,000% right. And you know what? You can't go wrong with that. That's where I was going with the right, wrong. Honestly, people who don't know how to accept your boundaries will take a step back from you. They will. They will immediately take a step back from you. And they'll reassess and they will decide, do I want to continue a relationship with this person according to their new boundaries, or is it too difficult for me? And let them make that choice, because you know what? The people who don't want to respect your boundaries will fall out of your life. The trash will take itself out because it becomes too hard for them. Every single time they try to speak to you, you just repeat yourself. I'm sorry. I love getting your opinions, but until you're ready to bring them to me in a positive way, I'm not willing to listen. And you just shut them down and you walk away. And the next time they come to you and you say exactly the same thing. I'm sorry. I love you. I want to have a relationship with you. I would love to have you in my life. When you can come to me in a positive way and help me feel good about myself, as opposed to helping me tear myself down, because trust me, dude, I am good at that. I do not need your help to tear myself down. So until you want to be a supportive part of a positive life, I am not going to have you in my life. That's it. End of the day. It sounds simple, but that's it. And every day we have to just reinforce that and remind ourselves. You know what? If you need to make yourself a little sticky note that says, I'm worth it and people don't talk to me like I'm garbage, make a sticky note and put it on your mirror so that you look at it every single day. Because I was so afraid that people were going to reject me if I wasn't easygoing, if I wasn't easy to get along with. Because let's be honest, I was the fat girl. I wasn't ever the first choice, right? If I was going to set so many boundaries on my boyfriend and be demanding that he, had to do this, do that, treat me this way, respect me, do all of these things, How long would he want to be my boyfriend? He could just go out and get another girlfriend who was less demanding, right? Right? How many times did we sell ourselves that? How many times did we buy that? How many times were we with someone who flat out didn't respect us or treat us well just because I don't want to be alone? I did that. I did that for a lot of years when I was younger. Crystal says, yes, I don't think enough of myself to require other people to treat me well. I felt lucky to have attention regardless of how negative that attention was. And yes, girl, yes, that is more than you. That is so many of us. It didn't really matter how, shitty that guy was treating me. He was paying me attention, right? I was still getting some attention. I mean, seriously, come on. I laid down with a man who would tell me after doing it I was too fat. What is that? Like, what is that? And you want to know how little pride I had? I did not stop sleeping with him right away. Because he was good at doing it. I don't know what to say about that. Respect. Like, you have to have that respect for yourself. Because if you don't, why would they? Right? Like, why would they? And I'm going to tell you guys another story. This was again in the time that I was single and I was really struggling, and I was again seeing a guy because we weren't officially dating. Dori's fat. Nobody dates fat girls. We were seeing each other. And we saw each other exclusively for almost a year. Like, this was not like a 2-week kind of thing. In the first couple months, it was okay. And then he started to be all like, oh, I'm catching feelings. I'm gonna, withdraw from you. And to do that, he would start telling me that I was not attractive to him because that would make him feel better. If you say it out loud, then that makes it true. And he would say, Dori, I like hanging out with you. I really like the doing it time, but I just, I don't really find you attractive. Your body's kind of a turn off. And I sucked it up. I just was like, whatever, dude, whatever. I just shook my head, whatever. After about 3 months, I got mad at him one day. I got mad at him and I was like, you know what? That's not even true. So stop saying it. And he was like, well, what do you mean it's not true? And I was like, dude, don't even sell me that. Like, if I sit next to you on the couch, you're ready. Like, I can't get within 10 feet of you and you're not ready to go. So don't even sell me that. If you need to tell yourself that to make yourself feel better because you're afraid of a relationship, then you tell yourself that. But you know what? I'm done letting you tell me it's because I am not attractive. I'm done. You don't do it anymore. And he was like, oh, so I don't do that anymore? And I was like, no, you don't do that anymore, dude. Done. I'm not taking that anymore. Like, enough is enough of that. Karen says, been there, done that. We have little self-confidence with interpersonal relationships, so we do what we can to please all and accept the negative comments, the treatment, so on. I'm 60 now and hang on while I hit expand. And just now have learned to love myself. I now know that God loves me unconditional. Since I've done this, I've already noticed certain men that want women they can use and abuse are no longer after me, right? Boundaries, yes. When you learn this, the right men or right people come into your life, and it takes practice, and that's true. That is true of men. That is true of friendships. The people who can take advantage of you will stop seeking you out when you stop allowing them to take advantage of you. And you know what? I was a single mother. I raised my son on my own. And you know what I found? I found a sea of men who had no pride and no shame in living off of a single mother. They would move in with me. They would not chip in for rent. They would not buy groceries. They would not pay bills. They would just come in and they would live off of me. And to boot, they would treat me like garbage. Because, you know what, at least they were kind enough to be around me when I was so hideous that, really, I should be grateful to have, any loser be around me. He wouldn't have to actually be, a real person or contribute anything. Crystal says, I'm a nurse in my 60s, and 60 to 80-year-old male patients are convinced I'm only a nurse until I can find the right security check. And yes, that's it too. A lot of it's an older generational thing, right? Like a lot of older men think that it's okay to talk like that, and they might not like being put in their place. But it is a brave new world, and guess what? We don't live in a world where you can just say that kind of stuff to people anymore. When my mother passed away, she had been dating a guy for about 2 years when she died. And he stayed living with me for a little while after my mom passed away, and until I had to have him leave, because my boundary with him was so low and he was so horrible to me every day during my grieving process. I couldn't function. So you have to do that for you, or you will fall apart. You will. Vicky says, I bawled my eyes out on Sunday, going through a lot with her neighbors. And you know what? Sometimes we just need that release, right? Like sometimes we just need to be able to sit down, cry it out, soak in the tub. And you know what? Do that. Feel it. Feel all of those feelings. I don't want to say enjoy it, because there's nothing enjoyable about it. But feel it, process it, go through it, soak in the tub. Just don't unpack and live there. Do you know what I mean? Because when you unpack and live there, that is when people know. They know which door to knock on when they're looking for somebody to take advantage of. They know who to borrow money off of that's not going to complain when they don't pay it back. They know whose clothes they can borrow and not return. They know whose car they can borrow and break and not have to pay to replace. Like all of these things, people know that they can get away with it. Julie says, my stepson talks to me terribly, and I've told him repeatedly not to talk to me that way. Now I walk away from him because his father doesn't stop it either. Boundaries are so important. Thank you for this talk, Dori. Now, my question for you, and Julie, please, this is not judgy. This is not judgy. But I want to ask you, why is his father not having your back? Why is your husband, who loves you and supports you, not looking at his son and saying, this is the woman I love, I respect her, as will you in my house? So I would maybe have a chat with him about that and ask him for that support and just say, you know what, I am really doing the best I can. I love you. I want this family to work, but I'm going to tell you honestly, I am done letting your son talk to me poorly. I am setting a boundary. I would really like for you to stand beside me in this boundary and remind him that he is not allowed to talk to me that way. Because you know what? At the end of the day, if he does not do that for you, the bitterness is going to grow in your relationship, because he should be doing that, right? He should be supporting you with his child and how his child speaks to you. That's his child. You did not raise that child, right? I don't have really issues with that with my stepdaughter, but sometimes we do have to, go through her dad, because I'm not her mother. I'm not the boss of her. I didn't raise her. I can tell her, this is how you're allowed to talk to me. She usually responds to that, but she's 10. So it depends on how old your stepson is too. If he's a teenager, you know what? He could be holding resentment, but it's not against you. So don't punish you for it. You know what? His relationship with his parents fell apart. That doesn't have anything to do with you. And maybe his dad needs to have a talk with him about that and say, look I understand that you're having feelings about, how my relationship with your mother panned out, but these do not fall on my new wife, period. And ask him for that support, because what's the worst thing he's going to do is he's going to say, oh, he can talk to you however he wants. And then you're going to say, no, he can't. Oh, no, he can't. Yes, and we got another response. That's where your husband tells him how important you are to him. If the husband doesn't tell him anything, then yeah, it's more on the husband than the stepson. And I kind of agree with that. It's, as the adult in the situation, it's his responsibility to say, you know what, I really love this woman. And it hurts me when you disrespect my wife. It hurts me when you disrespect her. Crystal says, if I was smarter, I wouldn't have ended up with him. Yeah, see, and you know what? I lived in that relationship for almost 11 years too, because he kept me so financially strapped I couldn't leave him. I was miserable. I was miserable every day. Every day was just about getting through, and to be honest with you, about getting through that day without killing myself so I could get to the next day without killing myself, because my life was miserable like that. And I was so strapped to him financially that I was stuck. Like, people say, well, why would you stay in that relationship? Why would you do that? Why would you be with a guy who would treat you like that? Why? Well, there's a million reasons why. I didn't want to be alone was one, but financially we lived paycheck to paycheck and we were always one paycheck behind. So at the end of the day, he really kind of had me over the barrel. I had no self-confidence. I was stuck. I was really, really stuck until even at that point, I got to the end of that rope and I cut that because it was so unhealthy for me. Julie says, it's been 6 years and he used to tell him that I was important, but now he thinks he can handle the parenting alone of his 15-year-old solely. See, now that's a problem. That's a huge, huge problem, because I would say this to him. Am I less important to you than I was 6 years ago? Is how your son speaks to me less important now than it was 6 years ago? Because 6 years ago, we were in a team together with this. And if we're not now, then maybe we need to re-examine if we still love each other. Because if 6 years down the road, you don't think it's a big deal that your son is talking to me badly, maybe you don't love me like you used to. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is, because you know what? I get that whole, my kid, my problem, I'll parent my way. But at the end of the day, you are in a relationship together, you are married. So yes, his kid, his way, but you have to live in that house. How do you live in a house where a teenager gets to treat you like garbage? You are an adult in your own home. So you need a boundary on that, and he needs a boundary on that. He should not be allowing his teenage son to treat the woman that he loves not good. Honestly, not good. Yeah. Yes. And you know what? Karen says, if you ever get the chance to treat them how they treated you, I hope you choose to walk away. And you know what? That's the bottom line, right? Two wrongs don't make a right. Because people treated me poorly, going out in the world and treating other people poorly benefits nobody, right? So for me, my mission is to go out in the world and show people how to just be nicer, be a better person, do it a little bit every day. You know what? Compliment people on the street. Tell someone you love their shirt. Tell someone, they've got great hair that day, whatever it is. Wow, those jeans look fantastic on you. I'm so proud of you for, accomplishing what you have. But can we live in a world that's more positive? We can, but we have to set a positive boundary around that. Because once we decide that our life is a positive bubble, then the people who want to bring their negativity in, guess what? There isn't any room for them. They don't fit in our bubble. And they'll go away because they'll realize they just don't fit in our bubble. And May says on Instagram that unfortunately this dad is not showing a very good example for his son how to treat women either. And I would 1,000,000% agree with that as well. Because think about it from the aspect of, if he was reinforced 6 years ago, we were talking 9-year-old child, okay? At 9 years old, it was really important. He had to treat his stepmom well. He had to be respectful. He had to speak to her nicely. As he's getting older and he's becoming a teenager, this is when he's forming his ideas about how you treat women, what a relationship looks like. And he will base how he treats women and his future relationships on what he sees. How does his dad treat you? What does he get away with? So this is a very, very important pivotal time for him to really step up and be a dad. Because you know what? The hard part, yes, is when they're little. When they're 2 and they're whiny and their fingers are sticking under the door and they're crying because you can't pee by yourself. That's hard. When they're 4 and they're driving you crazy and they scream how much they hate you and how stupid your face is at you and you hate them, that's hard. But you know what? The really hard part of parenting is getting from teenager to adulthood. Because you know what? Who else teaches our kids those skills? Movies aren't teaching them. School is not teaching them. Their friends are not teaching them. If we want to raise good boys who treat women well, this is the age we have to do that. And it's not fun. It's not easy, but it's a boundary. So I'm going to say, I love you guys. My battery is low on my iPad and it is time for me to leave and pick up my brother. But I love you guys. And if you're living a life like I did without boundaries, I want you to know it's not hopeless. It's not endless. You can change that. You can change it today. You can change it this moment. It doesn't have to carry on forever. It doesn't have to be the next 30 years of your life. Dude, it does not have to be the next 30 seconds of your life. Right now, with me in this moment, I want you guys to say out loud, I am worthy, I am worth it, I deserve it, I will expect it. Because when you expect people to treat you like you are deserving, like you are worthy, and like you are worth it, they will treat you that way, or they will find their way out of your life. So I hope that today we make a choice, and I hope that we make a decision for ourselves and that we can go through it together, because we can talk about it on the regular. You guys don't have to do it alone. As you're struggling setting boundaries, we can talk about this. We can talk about specific issues, specific boundaries. We can even talk about specific people if you want. I don't care. We will go there because I want this for you guys. I want this for you. I want for you to be able to wake up every day and know that you are worth being treated well, because I love you. And to know that people treat you badly, that hurts me, and they're not allowed. So we're going to make them stop, and we're going to do it together. So I love you guys. Let's get our Taco Tuesday song. Oh, my legs are all asleep. Oh goodness, my legs have fallen asleep. Oh God. I have needle legs and my phone won't turn on. So I guess we don't get any dancing. We don't get any music for the dancing anyways. If my foot will unthaw, I'll dance for you anyways, just because I don't need music. I have music in my head. Let's see if we can restart that though. I think we only have like 2 seconds before my iPad dies anyways. But I feel like an old lady. I can't hardly stand on this one leg. Why was I sitting on it? Silly lady. Silly Dori. Oh my goodness. And if you guys have any closing thoughts, I would love for you to share them. I will check all of the comments when I get back from dropping Jacob off. And if we need to address it again later tonight, we will. I don't care. I think this is something we're going to have to talk about more than one time, because this is not going to be easy. It was not easy for me. It was hard for me. And you know what? When I did it, I won't lie, I lost all of the people who were in my life at that time. All of them. Not one of the people who were my friends back then. Not one of the relationships I was in lasted. So as we go through this, it's hard. I won't lie to you guys. It will be painful. But at the end of the day, you will get to live a life where you are happy and you are surrounded by people who are happy for you, who want the best for you, and truly, truly love you. Love you, love you. Love you the way that we're going to learn to love ourselves. Because when we do that, that's when we know we're worthy, and we're going to do it, and we're going to do it together. If we have to do it once a week, I don't care, but we're going to do it, and we're going to learn it, because we need to. And I love you guys, and it hurts me to know that people hurt you. So let's fix it. Let's fix it. So there's my alarm to go pick up my brother. Let's see if our YouTube turned back on. If it did, we'll go back to the taco song, because it makes me laugh. And it makes me so happy. And after a little bit of a cry, I could use a taco song to make me laugh. So let's dance a little taco. And I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing Tuesday. And you know what? If one person decides to set a boundary today, we won. We won. Let's get rid of this ad and let's dance to some taco. Have a great day, guys. I adore you. Be happy. And don't live your life without boundaries. Unless it's without good boundaries.